How's it going, everybody? How's it going? Well, here we are. Brian Kelly said opening of the week he would be announcing the number sevens in some form or fashion. LSU would be announcing the number sevens in some form or fashion. Well, here they are. And I remember someone making a joke. I can't remember who it was. Okay, forgive me. I can't remember who it was. But someone made a joke of what if he gives it to some. Like I think he said gives it to Dre. He'll give number 7 to Jay Bramblett. Like it was something along those lines. And I just laughed my ass off. I'm like, that's hilarious. And he did something off kilter. Did something very unexpected. The number 18 is absolutely on point. Makes so much sense. The number 7, I don't think it's really a polarizing pick. I think it's a very intriguing pick. I think the people who might be even against it are still like all in on like, hey, that's a player who deserves it. But is it a position group they're really all in on getting that type of an honor? That is something we'll see. But for me, I love it. It's about the type of player who is getting it. And when you make Will Campbell your number 7, your left tackle, your sophomore left tackle, Will Campbell is your number 7. I mean, that says a lot about the direction Brian Kelly wants to take the program, not only this season, but what he's building for the future with Brad Davis. Possibly if Brad Davis moves on as well. They're stacking that talent for the next 5 years to come here. And so it's very interesting to see that pick being made. It's always been a DB. And then in recent years, starting with DJ Chark, it's been receivers randomly. Tell me what you think of the picks. Are you down with the number 7? Are you down with the number 18? We are sharing this all over the place right now. Hoping you all come in and join us for a little discussion on this because I think it's a very interesting thing when you're looking at Will Campbell getting the number 7. It's such an honor that is always given to the grade A top shelf players that some people would even call prima donnas. Like Jamar Chase got it. If Justin Jefferson had come back, maybe he gets the number 7. It's Kayshon Boutte. These guys are the playmakers. The guys who, like, even if they maybe are a little skirting the line with the rules or go off the edge here, get close to the edge here, I should say. We can tolerate it because they're just that good. They're that special of an innate playmaker for LSU. Like, that's the type of player I'm usually associating with number 7, but it's always like a skill position player. It has always been, frankly, a DB, literally a defensive back or a receiver. Like, it has literally just been that. And to break that tradition by starting your own with the offensive line, it's where the program's going. It's not saying that DB isn't as important or defensive back doesn't matter as much as offensive line. It's saying that we've known this for years. We've known this for a century now. Football is won or lost in the trenches. There's no getting around it. You can have Peyton Manning. You can have Marvin Harrison. You can even have Jeff Saturday. But if everybody around Jeff Saturday is just lost, it doesn't matter. You can have Reggie Wayne even on that team. Dallas Clark on that Colts team. They got only one Super Bowl to show for it. It just shows you that, like, if you don't have who was there? Who was Dwight Freeney on the defensive line for those Colts teams? But no one else. Like there was always just one guy, no one else. That's not what LSU has always been about. We've always been about stacking the talent in the trenches. We've always been very talent rich in the state, offensive line including. But in recent years, offensive line has kind of dwindled off the track a little bit. But now you've got it back. Now you've got it back going the last few cycles. We're talking about the mid to late 2010s offensive line recruiting in Louisiana, maybe wasn't where it should have been, especially when you look at historically Alan Faneca coming out of the region and Andrew Whitworth. Those are two Hall of Fame offensive line right there. It's very talent rich. And offensive linemen, when you look at Emory Jones, when you look at someone like Will Campbell, my God, they could be great at LSU for so long. And now with Will Campbell getting the number 7, you think Will Campbell, he's going to now be the first LSU Tiger since Leonard Fournette, and only the third LSU Tiger ever, along with Pat Peterson, to wear the number 7 for multiple seasons. How about that for Will Campbell? Because he's obviously going to wear it this season, and he's going to obviously wear it next season. So, I mean, what a crazy honor. I really did not expect this type of thing for Will Campbell. I expect him to get any other honor on the team, but number 7. But it just tells you how seriously they are taking this offensive line win in the trenches thing. It's how LSU wants to recruit. They want to stack that talent deep on the offensive line, and then continue what LSU's been doing on the defensive line for the last however long. Because LSU has been, we've been elite recruiting on the defensive line for quite some time. And it's been easy to do with the talent that's there around you in the state. If you miss on some of these guys, it's like, what the hell are you doing? How could you do this? How could you fail to sell the program? I mean, you don't even have to sell it. It sells itself. So there's something wrong with you probably. And usually that's kind of the case. There's something wrong with the person. And that's why if they fail recruiting in Louisiana, you don't have the right guy there. And so not only is it great to see that they have actually been executing and kicking ass recruiting in Louisiana, but like finding new pipelines of talent and maximizing the trenches. Not only in Louisiana either, but they're going national if they have to. Going into places like Georgia, DJ Chester, Paul Mubenga, Texas. I love how we've been able to really dig at Texas and Georgia recruiting wise, like just all around, not just offensive line, but just all positions. The last maybe even 5 to 10 years, you could include. Yeah, let's just go over the past decade. Since 2013, we have obliterated Texas and Georgia recruiting. If you look at the 4 and 5 stars we've taken from Georgia and Texas, the states, it's hilarious to me. It's just something I wanted to say. Just a funny little aside there. But yeah, Will Campbell, given the number 7, offensive lineman given the number 7. Is this too far from Brian Kelly? Is this kind of a boring direction? You don't really want to see the team going. Is this something you like to see? Is this the toughness, the intensity that LSU should be about? Because that's how I see it. And I think if you're looking for exciting football and you're looking for 50 to 60 passing attempts a game, that's probably not going to be the offense we're running in the Brian Kelly era. I'm sad to say, but we're probably not going to have a quarterback who's throwing over 40 times a game. It's just not going to happen. But are we still going to have an electric offense where receivers can be maximized to the utmost of their potential? We're not talking about having like two guys with 1,000-yard seasons. Maybe one guy gets over 1,000, another gets like over 600, 700 yards, 5 touchdowns. So you got a 1K guy, double-digit touchdowns. The second guy was like 700 yards, 5, 6 touchdowns, and then a third guy 4 or 500 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns. That to me, plus what the tight ends are going to be producing, that's the recipe right there. And maybe LSU are going to be going more in a meat and potatoes fundamentals direction with this type of a sign, because it's a big deal to give Will Campbell the number 7. I wouldn't be doing this show, I don't think, besides writing the article like we already did, if this wasn't such an interesting decision from Brian Kelly, in my opinion, because it's something that I was like, we got to talk about this. This is bizarre. This is really strange, and I dig it. I'll go down that path. I'll be fine going down that path. But are you, as a fan, like down with that? Because as a fan, you're gonna have a lot of different opinions, and we'll listen to any and all of them. We don't care. Bring it on. But it's something I find very interesting that he has completely turned the tradition on its head. You look at the corners, number 7's out there, right? You look at the receiver, someone's wearing number 7. And if it's not a corner, it's like one of the all-American hybrid type of safeties in the country, a must-see type of player that you're always going to be looking at, watching anyway. The fact that number 7 will be worn by our left tackle, Will Campbell, is that's awesome. That's just awesome. Sometimes real life is stranger than fiction, and Will Campbell's it's cooler than fiction, because now he's started his freshman season, played almost every game, was able to mount a physical comeback after getting his ass kicked the first quarter by Jared Verse last season, and start putting Verse on his ass. He suffered a medical emergency, as we'll call it, that is a very painful one, something that I've suffered, and then was able to come back and produce the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week performance against Florida just a week later. Freshman All-American, freshman All-SEC, plays over 800 snaps in his first season, wins that starting position. Now, going into his second year, everything looks on track to be following something really special. But on top of it, he's now given the number 7. We already thought his career was going for an all-timer offensive line Mount Rushmore. Will Campbell's got to be on there type of career of what he's been putting together. But now, given the number 7, what that signifies, if he's able to break that curse and perform like all the watch lists are saying he will be, like we predict he will be, like all of his coaches say he will be, and the way that he will, unless some type of outside influence, such as an injury, some type of act of God that is out of his control, affects him. Other than that, God forbid, he will be a second-time All-American. And if he decides to go to the NFL after year 3, potentially be the second, only the second, I believe, LSU Tiger to be a 3-time All-American after Tommy Casanova. I might not be correct on that, but I believe I am, right? I think he would only be the second all-time 3-time All-American come out of LSU. Let's see the comments. We got a few comments in here. Brambo says both Malik and Mason will have 1,000 yards. I mean, do, is does Mason Taylor look like the number one, or do you think that like just by nature of Kamorion Pimpton's rise, a few other guys, starting to really come about Mac Markway. Um, Mac Markway being talked about as the most complete tight end out there among the freshmen. Jackson McGowan's had a few nice passes, but Kamarion Pimpton is really also, a standout as a hybrid type of guy. His blocking has been a lot better than we suspected it would be as well. But you think Mason Taylor will get 1,000 yards? I believe that there's probably not enough. I don't really want to say balls to go around because when people throw that type of thing, that sounds kind of interesting there. But there's not enough targets to go around. I don't think in this offense, just from what we saw last year, and even if we say added like a ton more attempts on there, like they just threw out the conservatism completely because there's guys they can trust now after year one, which is what I believe they will in some part do. Even if you add that, they're still going to run that damn ball because they've got a great offensive line and they've got literally Oliver Stone platoon of running backs. Like they are absolutely freakishly freight train loaded at running back. And so you would be a fool to not use those guys. But also with a weapon like Aaron Anderson, who is someone I think that maybe um, Nick Saban was talking about in his press conference last week, where he said there was one guy who transferred specifically that he really, really had wished had not transferred. And he didn't say his name, but you could tell that it was one that had hurt. And it was like, there's only one that's really going to hurt, and that's an Alabama, commit who's played a year there, who you were able to pull out of New Orleans, Louisiana. Like that's the only type of player that you would really get you, Nick, is to lose a player that you took out of Louisiana and lose him back. So, that's what's funny about the whole thing. But you know, LSU chose their number 7. Okay, we've talked all about the future direction, about the offensive line and all that stuff. But really, the other side of the equation is they also chose their number 18. For the second straight season, the number 18 goes to a defensive lineman and potentially, most likely, the best defensive lineman on the team, even if Mason Smith's available. I will say that again, potentially and most likely. Only person to be named an All-American last year. Best defensive lineman on the team, even with Mason Smith. Mekhi Wingo was given number 18 as something that we predicted, a decision we felt like, yeah, that's probably what will happen. We could see maybe Major Burns. We got why people were throwing Brooks Jr.'s name out there. But I kind of was like, Wingo, and then number 7 will be Perkins or Neighbors. I always thought Malik will be number 7 or Harold Perkins. And then Mekhi Wingo will be number 18. That was just really what I thought. And so great to see my guy, Mekhi Wingo, getting the number 18. Sorry, having to type that. It's an interesting pick because this is another transfer being honored at LSU. This is another success of a transfer at LSU who has come to Baton Rouge, and people forget Mekhi Wingo was already successful before he came to Baton Rouge. He was a centerpiece of Mizzou's defensive line. He was an all SEC defensive lineman. He had a pick 6 as a freshman at Mizzou. I was like, this dude's going to be awesome. Even if he's relegated to coming off the bench, he's going to be sick, and he's going to play his way on the field. He's awesome. I really had a good vibe about him coming onto the team. That's why we were seeking him out for interviews so much before the season last year. There's, I think, 2 or 3 interviews just with Mackay before the season, and then one we did with him during the season. That's how much we just were like, we got to talk to this guy. Great interview, great person, and as you saw all last year, great player. And he's had so many accolades. He's been on the all academic team at LSU. He's been a leader of the SWAT team, the accountability team. He's he was selected by LSU to represent them at the SEC Leadership Council, where only 11 available SEC players chosen. Of course, named AP All-American last year. One of the only Tigers to be named All-American, I believe the only All-SEC as well. And now he's nominated for the Outland. Well, sorry, not nominated. He is on the Outland and Nagurski preseason watch lists. Mackay Wingo just really taking some really good fortunes at Missouri. Going to definitely stand out, definitely still be a high round draft pick. But now he's doing it on the biggest stage possible at LSU, where dreams really do come true for some of these people going there. And he's able to really take advantage of that and propel himself. Where, I mean, the notoriety for Mackay is just incredible. Now he's given the number 18 jersey. I mean, he had the Iron Tiger Award last year from Jake Flint, as well as one of the Tigers who just was able to lift the most and had the most endurance, the most strength on the team. Like, holy shit. I mean, Mackay really gave his all for the team. He tore his labrum actually earlier in the 2022 season, and was able to play and withstand the pain through so much of last year's games. It was crazy. And played 821 defensive snaps. Only second only to Greg Brooks Jr. 3.5 sacks, 25 pressures, 47 tackles. Like, he did it all. 5 pass breakups. We're giving him the one that wasn't credited against Alabama. It will say 4, but we're giving him the 5th one. So take that. 2 fumble recoveries, including that big one against Florida State. Forced another fumble as well. Would have had another one against Florida had they, from a Harold Perkins strip, had they not called it back, which was sad because that was a cool play. But, had an eye for creating turnovers as well. It was the complete package from Mackay Wingo. Unbelievable what he was doing. I mean, beyond the stats. Literally throwing offensive linemen into each other. Just throwing an offensive lineman into a running back, which fucked up the protection. And so the quarterback got sacked by somebody because the running back got smashed. Like, he was literally throwing people around. I'm not joking. You go back and watch the film, especially late in the season, as he is probably in a lot more pain too. He is absolutely just throwing MFers around. Stan Waters says the NCAA says he can't wear number 7. Should have been Perkins. Oh, so it's going to be a patch. I saw someone say that earlier, but I kind of didn't really think anything of it. I kind of just a patch. Huh. He'll put number 7 on a patch. But really, they're going to do that? Let me ask. I'm just going to ask Will himself. We just sent him a message. We'll see if he responds. Seriously, if the NCAA are not going to let him wear the number 7, like, are you kidding me? Why not? What is the point? What is the point behind that? I'm not. I don't understand. Why can't he wear the numbers? Why can't an offensive lineman do something unique? To me, it's bullshit. It's like how they would fight wars standing in lines, like in a field. This is the way you fight the war. Dun, 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 dun. Now stand there and take your turn to die. All right, next lad. Wait 1 second. Oi, gotta finish pissing. Hurry, it's your turn to die. I die in about 15 minutes after that. Okay. Taking me a while to load my musket. It was his turn to die. That's basically the type of old rudimentary bullshit we're looking at here with NCAA. What are we talking about here? An offensive lineman has to wear, like, in the 60s, 50s, and 70s. A receiver has to wear certain numbers in the teens or the 80s. Defensive backs have to, like. Here's the thing. I do get it a bit, because it would be a crazy game to identify, a crazy game to officiate, a crazy game to try and, like, pick everything out, unless you knew every single damn player on every team and, like, had a encyclopedic knowledge of every single number correlation with every guy on the team. And oh, he just changed to 27 this year, but he was 24 last year. Like, not every single person in the world can do that, or gives a shit about that. And so sometimes it can be extremely difficult to differentiate. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. They don't want a corner wearing 84 and then the other one wearing 21. Like, I get it in that sense. It would kind of cosmetically look stupid to have a corner wear the number 84 or something. That's kind of strange, though. Like, who's the one kind of ordained to choose this? You're a fullback. You can't wear number 2. Or can they? Well, you're a quarterback. You can't wear number 92, 93. What if he's like Jared Lorenzen or something? Like, he's a big guy. He can wear that. He can pull that shit off. Like, what is the problem there? I don't know. I don't know. People were saying to me that they thought Harold Perkins would get this. They thought for sure Harold Perkins would get this, number 7. And there's some people who were shocked at Mekhi Wingo getting number 18. I don't really get that. They're thinking it would be Burns or Brooks, but I just don't think that really would have been that smart of a choice after when you got Mekhi Wingo there on your football team. I mean, he really has been so complete since he has arrived. It's been ridiculous. He really has done everything possible as a Tiger, and he's won games for us. He's got us back in games. He's you know been on the bench with Mason Smith as the starter and had to come in and kind of make a huge play in a crazy moment to keep us in that game against Florida State last year. He had some big moments against Alabama in the biggest game of the year to get us to the SEC championship game. Mekhi, every step of the way, had big moments for LSU last season. And what can you say? You had to give him the number 18. I mean, what a player at LSU. Sad that this is his last season, because this, drink it up, because this might be the last time you get to see Mekhi Wingo in an LSU uniform here in year 3. Because everyone thinks, oh, he's year 2. He's got one more. No, no, not so fast. He played 1 year already at Missouri, so you know, be on high alert. Makai Wingo's already achieved so much in just that first year. He'd already be like, I think, a first to second, maybe third at the lowest round pick. Especially when you get him in those interview rooms, he's going to absolutely kill it with the GMs and scouts. But when you look at what Makai has done already, it's monumental at LSU. If he wins a national championship and basically has yet another incredible season like he just had, um, wow, you're looking at one of the most complete around the circle academics, leadership council, SWAT team, Iron Tiger, All American, Bronco Nagurski, national title, making sacks, blocking passes, getting tackles, being the number one rated rushing defender in the entire SEC and in the top five of the entire college football for the entirety of the last season. Um, you you could argue Makai Wingo is one of the most recently like all around complete honored Tigers outside of like Joe Burrow, like Glenn Dorsey. You got Joe Burrow, Glenn Dorsey. There's more than a few who've been extremely honored through all around that clock of honors, academics, everything. But Makai Wingo would join them because my God, everything I just said, it's everything. But yeah, Makai Wingo, very, very, very deserving of that number 18. He's gonna wear it with pride, and this is yet again another big time defensive lineman wearing 18. We had Damone Clark, a linebacker, wearing it for a while. Um, and then you had did Damone have 18 for 2 seasons? I think he did. I think he was 35 that 20 in 2019. Oh no, wait. Yeah, he was 35 in 2018 and 2019. And then was given the number 18 going into that 2020 season. I think that's right. So I think Damone Clark wore 18 for 2 seasons. And the number 18's history of usage as far as like timeline is a little skewed for me, but I know pretty much all the players, of course, Jacob Esther, Benny Logan, even clear back. Um, God, there's some fucking many. You even got Ojolari, the last one to wear it, and I think was awesome, repping the 18. Caleb Chason was able to wear it. So you got a very good share of defensive linemen who were wearing number 18. And dare I say it, some of the greatest defensive linemen to ever play in purple and gold were wearing number 18. Will be remembered for wearing that number. And you just know that they did not take this decision lightly. And they wanted to make sure it resembled the program's future, its past, and its kick-ass present. And they wanted to make sure that, like, hey, this is the direction we're going in. Recruits, listen up. 2024 recruits, 2025 recruits, 2026 recruits, 2027 recruits, so on and so forth. LSU are a program that is now, as Brian Kelly said it, there in that video. You just saw it. If you didn't, you should check it out. LSU is now an offensive line led program. LSU is an offensive line led program. Usually you're thinking DB, receiver, even running back, defensive led program, skill position led program. You would like to be a quarterback led program, offensive line led program. Well, what does that attract? Quarterbacks, great quarterbacks, because they want to be protected. That attracts great running backs. That attracts great receivers because they know their quarterback's going to have time to get them the football. They know they're going to have an offense that's going to be able to pull off the high tempo or grind a defense into the shadow of Death Valley. It's when you have an offensive line that is dominant, when you have a defensive line that is dominant, usually you're winning championships. And if you're not, something unlucky happened along the way, and you probably lost a few of those guys. Stan Waters says, fans want to see number 7 in full display. You can't see a patch from my house. Campbell is our MVP. Well, I mean, like, Stan, it's so stupid, my man, because even if you could see the 7 patch, bro, it's like, what's the point? What's the point now? Ooh, he's got a patch that says 7 and he's wearing 66. Now you're just confusing people, especially the casuals who might want to kind of get into LSU. Now it's like, what the hell is that? Is that some tribute to some guy? Who's number 7 who died? Now they're Googling a number 7 at LSU who died. And now they're very confused, going down a really dark tunnel that leads them to Johnny Giles and all sorts of things like that. But if they just let Will wear number 7, it would be a lot less confusing, a lot less ridiculous, a lot less stupid. Like, isn't this it's becoming the no fun league, version 2.0 with college football and this escalated, desperate new version of the NCAA, where it's like the NFL. Yeah, it's always been the no fun league, but really college football is doubling up on the stupid right now, especially when it comes to LSU, doubling up on the stupid. And you saw some really stupid penalties going across college football today. Some really bizarre calls against some guys, usually on the defense as well. This is an interesting comment from my guy Brambo. John Giles ruined number 7. Will is going to get it back to the standard. That's the thing, is I really think it's dumb that they don't let him wear it, because I feel like Will is going to kill that curse and just just totally just destroy the shit out of it. Go Jean-Claude Van Damme on that curse's ass. That's what I feel. But anyway, everybody, thank you so much for watching us today. We have to get ready for a concert we're going to tonight. We are going to go see the fucking Flaming Lips live. They're playing here in Utah. It is me and Chelsea and I's only second date night since Sage has been born. Our first one was back in November or something. So this is a long time coming, and it's going to be a fun time. That we've seen the Flaming Lips so many times. This will be time number 8 or 9, so it's going to be an epic show. If you have the Flaming Lips coming into your town, definitely go see them. They cannot miss. But everybody, thank you so much for watching. Keep commenting on what the hell you thought about number 7 and number 8, number 18. Get a little craziness going on here in the comments section, because it's only going to help us. It's only going to help the world when LSU fans are running it. LSUODYSSEY.com, baby. LSUODYSSEY.com.